Welcome to Heart and Tip Talk. Come on in, y'all. So I decided to do something different this time. I wanted to do a heart-to-heart forum. You guys know I'm really a huge advocate about love and relationships and strengthening the foundation of relationships, which is really important. So this is the Airbnb that I decided to make our house for today. This is my Tip Talk Show balloon, and it was sponsored by Big Ass Balloon. So you can notice that this house is Indian inspired, and I love it. So I'll take you over to the kitchen, and those of you who love to cook, we'll have a grand old time up in here. We're still getting started setting up, so we have the spirits, of course. You cannot have a tip talk without having spirits, all right? The food is on the way, so we got a nice big area to display our victuals and our food. We won't be doing any cooking in the kitchen, but there will be going some cooking in the living room, that's for sure, all right? Have y'all had this Hendrick's cucumber infused gin? Love it. Gotta love this Hendrick's. The Hennessy drinkers, shout out to 50 Cent if he's still fooling with effing. We gotta love us some 50. Grandma ain't my favorite. Black folk, we can't do nothing without no Hennessy. Oh, Crown Apple. Apples are my friend. So now we're gonna take us a little trip on up these stairs. I'm not really a fan of stairs, but you know, y'all come on in. This is the room where we're gonna have couples come inside and do like a confession on the different topics that we're talking about. So this is where they'll be able to share their secrets, share intimate thoughts, intimate conversations about whatever what is we're talking about downstairs. So yeah, this room is gonna get the business today. Let's go to the master bedroom. Now before y'all get to looking at my stuff that I wear under my clothes, this is the master bedroom. Again, another Indian inspired room. Nice tub. You know, girl love a large mirror. I know I do anyway. That's gonna conclude our tour for today's Tip Talk, but don't go anywhere. Y'all are not gonna wanna miss the show today. Be right back. Welcome guys to a special edition of the Tip Talk Show. I am your host, Tiffany O, and I am joined today by some amazing guests, and I want to appreciate them right now for taking the time out to spend their adult day with me. I know most of you have already celebrated Valentine's Day, but today is still about love. And today we're gonna really dive into some really fun subjects, but this is about encouraging healthy relationships, period. This is not to air no dirty laundry. We want people to walk out of here and feel renewed, feel like they've come to a retreat almost, and get some good vibes going on. I feel like there's nothing here dead. Everybody is alive and love is in the room. Not unless we're doing some amazing pretending, right? So Shelby, did you want to kick things off?
No, I'm gonna let you kick it, and then I'm gonna just follow your kick.
All right. So I was having this, I don't know, I guess an analogy in my head, you know, when I think about relationships and how a relationship can be viewed. And so I was saying, like, when you begin to date someone, it could be like a trip. Both of you have an idea of where you're going or where you want to go. You know, when you guys plan trips together and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to see the blue water, the white sand, the black sand, that sort of thing. But there's a process that happens, you know, in getting there, right? And so sometimes you may get there and it's Fantasy Island, like, oh my gosh. And then sometimes you may get there and it's Gilligan's Island. You're stranded, okay? You're deserted. And other people may say that it could be an island with just a bunch of debris, just a bunch of stuff, you know, but nevertheless, many people feel like it wasn't what I expected, and others, it was more than what I expected. So I want to kind of talk about how what the journey is like getting there, and what are some good processes or practices we can do in the meantime from boarding the plane to getting off the plane. Because if you've ever been on a plane, you know there's turbulence, unexpected turbulence, right? And so how do we deal with that?
Turbulence hit me, girl. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know for me, and I want, this is not a TIFF talk where I'm the only one talking. This is actually dialogue. I want you guys I want your input. For me, I feel that there needs to be communication. So you guys stay right there. We're gonna do a little mingling, refreshing our drinks. And after that, we're gonna join the Mile High Club. Talk about some plans. We're back, guys, with the TIFF Talk Show. I hope you didn't go anywhere because we're just getting started. Now, just in case you decide to go get yourself a drink or something, remember, you don't want to miss the confession room, and that is where we will have couples giving us, I guess, some feedback on their thoughts about the show. And they can say whatever they want to say, whether it is good or bad, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So where we left off at, we were talking about planes, not so much the Mile High Club, but just what do you do when you are experiencing turbulence in the relationship? And usually the pilot doesn't let you know in advance when you're going to experience it. It just kind of happens, sort of way that phone just did that. Yeah. Who's that? Hey, we have a personality here at the TIFF Talk Show. It's all good. It's all good. So here's the deal, and guys, I want my audience to jump in here. Feel free to just say how you feel, and we want to make sure that everybody respects everyone's opinion. But as you're dealing with turbulence, if you have dealt with turbulence, and anyone in this room dare not say they haven't, But how do you feel? Do you feel that there's a checkpoint in the relationship to whereas the pilot comes on and lets you know that the ride is good, we are expected to land on time, or if the pilot comes on the air and says we're gonna have to make a detour because there's some rough winds above, ahead, and we're gonna have to figure this thing out. Like, we need to figure out these checkpoints. How important are the checkpoints in the relationship as you're getting to your destination?
Well, for me, I'll start off. I think that what we sometimes forget is before we start planning the trip or the plane ride, that has to be a checkpoint conversation, and we miss that. We get so excited and start planning. You have to realize and recognize that my other trips before you will affect how I look at you presenting me this trip.
Very
right?
true.
So if you're telling me we about to go to Orlando and it's going to be amazing, you have no clue what Orlando was like for me.
For me, already, very
right?
true. Yeah.
So we have to be very open and honest, and I think sometimes in relationships, especially in the beginning, we don't have those conversations. We're so afraid of what may happen. And if you're with someone who's scared to have an honest conversation,
right,
that may not be where you need to be.
Right.
Because I can't tell you about my past trips, not to throw it in your face, and I don't want you to try to do better than they did on the last trip. I'm just telling you, understand that I may have some up and downs in planning this.
Right.
Respect my moment. Because if you don't tell me that, then when I bring you the ticket and you acting funny, now the whole trip goes down because we never talked.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. But I think sometimes too, depending on who you're talking to, if you give too much information about the trip before, then the trip may become about that last experience and not about the one that we're getting ready to create.
But that's communication.
Absolutely.
So that's how I communicate.
Right.
And then if you're feeling like that, you have to communicate with me that
know.
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, don't just let us get on the plane and then by that time it's too late.
Right.
Yeah, once he start back.
But I have to you have to give me an open space to tell you about what has happened to me. Not to make this moment about that, but that does determine how I act. And then, like, oh, you never dated a woman before. Okay, anyway. So, it can get difficult, right? So let me tell you, one of the things that happened, just being my experience.
Hey, I'm cool.
Right? All right. So one of the things that happened is if you haven't had open communication with a woman, I don't know about men, that's not my language. But if you haven't had open communication with a woman, she will start doing little things that will it'd be little things. Okay. Like I come in the room, I didn't plan the trip, I'm like, hey, we got to pack, and she ain't packed nothing. I'm like, oh, you ain't packed nothing. Okay, that's a sign. But I'm not gonna say nothing.
That she wasn't ready for the
But
trip.
just chill, I'm gonna pack with you. So then I start laying your clothes out. So you gonna pack for me. You're not gonna give me the opportunity to pack for myself, you're gonna pack for me. Well, I thought I was helping. One, because I've never asked you, why haven't you packed?
Okay.
I just took it upon myself to say,
yeah,
you know what, she may not be ready for this trip yet, so I'm gonna do a good deed and pack for her. She come in the room, I done packed everything, and now she got a bigger attitude. I'm grown, I don't need nobody to pack for me. That's not even what I wanted to wear. Now we about to have a whole argument, whole situation. Now I don't wanna go on something I paid for.
Because you assumed that it would be okay.
Because I didn't ask her, why didn't you pack? Why aren't you packing?
Okay.
I'm overlooking your little signs and we're looking for big signs.
So is that what we usually do in relationships? We just kind of go with the flow? No, don't do that.
Okay, go.
Is that what we usually do in relationships though? I mean, and when I say we, I mean people. Do we usually just assume that this is what that person wants and then go with it, or?
But we're scared of the answer.
That is very, very true.
You're scared of the answer.
That's very true.
So instead of just getting the truth and working on the answer, you just fluff it.
I think that, you know what, I have to agree with you there because people who know me know that I'm big on communication. And I feel like if that is not one of your key pillars in your relationship, you already, it's a train wreck already.
And what does communication mean? Communication for one person means something different.
Absolutely. And that needs to be communicated.
But
Action words.
But you have to know a person's past and what what happens is, a lot of times when we have relationships and we went through things, we get a person that's we're comfortable with, that's not gonna bring up our past. A lot of women do that.
That's very true.
And then once y'all start getting emotionally attached, then you want that same guy to understand what you're going through.
Come on now.
That's true.
So the issue is not with the relationship, the issue is with you. Because you have unresolved issues that you have to deal with.
Okay.
So we're always trying to look at each other. No. It's not that person, it's you.
Right, but
You know what I
are
mean?
you with someone, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I agree, but are you with someone that is comfortable enough to hear that?
But you should have known that from the get-go.
I don't know about knowing that from the get-go.
Because there's certain questions. See, here's the thing. We want to have relationships where we're going out and we're having a good time. But that's not what a relationship is about.
No, it's not.
It's about having those hard conversations. So if you whining and dining, oh girl, he did this for me, he did that, and then you get in a relationship and things don't go right, that's your fault.
But sometimes
See,
God bring you the representative.
Yeah.
And he could
Because you allow, women set the tone of what men do, period.
Well, people, I shouldn't say God, I should say people.
Women have,
Women. You get the representative.
men are hunters. We are hunting for something, okay? You give us a clue on what tools we need to use to hunt. Okay? But the problem is that you have women, some women that say, you know what, I'm gonna give it up, I'm gonna do things that's real easy because of self-esteem. And they ruin it for the good women. That's the issue. It used to be a sisterhood, it used to be a womanhood, where women would put each other in check. But y'all don't have that no more.
You better go somewhere else.
Now men have to do less and women are doing more. Let me say that again. Men have to do less now in today's society, women do more. They got college degrees, y'all buying your own house, you buying your own car. But we getting everything without even getting married.
So, okay, so I mean, listen, no lies told there, people. He ain't said no lies. But I will say this, you know, to my sister's point, you do have the guys that come in their representative uniform. I mean, that's just being honest.
But doesn't a woman do the same thing? Is your makeup not representative? Your makeup, women do the same thing, okay? Because when you wake up, you ain't that same person out there in the club. That hair ain't yours. I'm just saying, it's the same thing. It ain't no different.
That's the same thing, but you're looking at it externally. Exactly.
We love you and we in it, we gonna treat you like a king, no
Period.
What? Good, bad, broke, good job, no matter what. If we in it, we never, we gonna be
With
good, run hard. You talking about external things that change like daily.
Okay, but if that's the case, then why you put the man that's a player on a pedestal then?
Who does
Who like
that?
an NBA player? You know,
Hang on, guys. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to bring it back to communication. We do assume a lot in the beginning of a relationship, and we do not communicate very well. And that's, I'm kind of really back to what she was saying. Speak that way. So, really back, we do assume a lot in the beginning of a relationship because we're all in love, and you don't want to have that conversation to where, oh, I've had this experience before or not.
Or what if it messed things up?
Yeah,
What if I
but
have a
yes.
conversation and down goes Frazier?
Yes, I don't know if anybody here listens to I don't know if anybody here listens to Delilah, but a girl called in yesterday and she's been in a relationship 1 month. And she was calling to play a song for the guy so he would leave.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yikes.
He was scared, her thing was that he was scared to leave. He was scared to stay. And Delilah was like, y'all just been together for a month. So why are you calling to play a song? And she said, he's had bad experiences. So that means she has not had, like you were saying, she hasn't had the talk for her to be scared. So it's communication and not assuming and having those hard conversations. And then you can take the trip or not.
Exactly. And then you can take the trip and not. Going back to communication.
Going back to communication, the turbulence thing. When you've been on the plane so many times and you already know what to expect, don't ride Spirit no more right now. Don't do it. Your experiences with different men and different women you should be receiving all that information.
Very true.
So when you go on the one date, that one person, you already have that communication lined up. You don't play, you go into, hey, so what you wanna do? Or we're gonna be friends, or you grow up. After being hurt, after being scarred, you grow up. So you don't pity pat on that first date. You all in. So you can kind of hear when that person has been through something and you just tired and they just tired and you just ready for love. So you miss the cute little, your hair cute and you find you miss that stage because you've matured.
Right.
You've been on too many planes with your people.
I think that women are just groomed to be IND. Yeah, we're just so groomed to be independent now that it's hard to accept anything less than we deserve. So that when you're not bringing what we want to the table, it's like, nah, goodbye. You know, period.
At least at some point we should get there. My heart personally, I feel bad for the women who are still on the path to getting there. I feel like going back to what she was saying, you're going on so many trips. There's things happening during that trip. You should be collecting information, collecting experiences to then apply those lessons. But we'll be in the instruction room for a whole day and can walk out with no objectives. You walked out and you have not applied any of what you learned. And I think that's one of the biggest failures for women. I'm speaking for us.
I think one of the biggest failures, your homegirl told me that man ain't no good or what the man did. That's why
See, that
instead of looking at
he about to go somewhere else with it. He about to go. Because, let me say this. Because you just said that women are not having the talks with their friends that they should be having with their friends. Now the people, and I'm only speaking for me, that I surround myself with, they pull my coattail. Hey, you tripping. There are those circles that do have those real talk conversations. Get mad if you want to. I love you. Yeah. That's what it's about. But the one that's telling you that he ain't no good, he may not be no good. You know what I'm saying? So if she sees something that my blind eye cannot see, then she's gonna tell me, as she should. And if that is your friend and you know it's coming from a place of love, you should not be offended by what they say because they're literally trying to save your life. But that's not the case with everybody, because I do agree with you. There are those friends that don't want to see you happy. But I think for the most part, going back to just growing up and being mature, you got to surround yourself with people that's really trying to see you win.
Right.
But back to the representative, because what if you communicate? Like, no, you, in the beginning.
This will be the last comment on the representative because we're going to go to something else.
Yes, you actually said, hey, I want A, B, C, and D, and they say, oh, okay, calm down. Let me in the game, coach. Then you let them in the game. They say, I want to build with you, and then they come with these Legos.
Yeah, they want to be. No, but she's absolutely right, and I don't. We should. The truth of the matter is, unless we're willing to be honest, that there is some truth to what she's saying.
It is. But let me add this to it too. Men see where you're vulnerable at.
I agree with that too.
Off your weakness.
I agree with that too.
It's like you.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
But to me, a weak man plays off a female weakness.
Absolutely.
You better say that.
If you're a real man and you're ready to submit, you're ready to move forward, you're not going to take advantage of a female's weakness.
That's right. That's right. I agree with that.
But women also have to know their power in a relationship.
That's true. That's true.
So I think
We're gonna go to a commercial on that. Let me tell you.
they just don't know it.
No, real talk. Can we go to a commercial and then come right back? Shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Women need to know their
You gotta know
power in a relationship because we oftentimes relinquish it way too soon and way too often. That's true. We will be right back. Don't go nowhere. Let's just get started.
So what we took from communication with the heart-to-heart was it's good to get to know each other up front and talk about, I guess, your hurdles or what could be an obstacle in the beginning so that when it comes or when it arises, then you know how to handle it. Because if you don't, then you really don't know the signs.
So I didn't get to step in downstairs, but what I think is some people, they communicate with their body language. So if we paying attention, you can understand. Because some people, like Dane said, some people don't always, they can't always communicate verbally, And
But
so,
I communicate with my body language sometimes.
Yeah, she does.
And I have to slam my door before she notices. And by now, after 5 years in county, she should know that baby's mad. Let me, intercept and see what's going on.
And just 5 years in counting, we still learn each other. I think every day is a learning experience.
Right,
and communicating through that, just the other day, I learned that she's not gonna always voice it, and I have to step up and say, hey, what's wrong? Or she have to step up and say, you know what, like I'm having a hard time, and I have to sit back and say, you know what, it's okay for you to say that. And it is okay, and I think that's where, I think a lot of people lack, where they don't say, hey, I'm having a hard time, or, communicate that they are having a hard time, to give their partner a chance to say, hey, like, I'm here, communicate, hey, I'm here.
But as we touched on, if you're really in love, true love conquers all, and when you have that work and you see that you have to put in that work, it's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's okay.
So we're gonna allow you to do the talking. I'm just gonna follow your lead.
No?
All right.
That was a communication right there. That's how communication works.
Yes.
Okay, communication.
Oh, go.
What's your, how you feel about it?
I think communication means different things to different folks. I think you need to establish that in the beginning of the relationship. A lot of times I think that people that don't know how to communicate attract other people who don't know how to communicate. And then once some feelings start to bubble up, then they realize that they're not compatible with each other.
So why do you think that is the case? Is that a situation of opposites attracting?
No, it's not opposite attraction. It's two people that don't know how to communicate. So you don't bring up things that I'm uncomfortable with. That's why we connect. But it doesn't work 6 months to a year down in a relationship, because now you're forced to communicate because of certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
So that, yeah.
I would definitely have to agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times with communication, we're not comfortable being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And with communication, you got to hit that head on.
Yeah.
You're going to get into some uncomfortable conversations. And sometimes we'd rather just take the easy way out and just be quiet.
Yeah.
Being in previous relationships where I know communication was not on the forefront, it was a detriment to the relationship because I did not communicate. I didn't know how to communicate because I never saw communication in my upbringing.
Yeah. No.
So I only knew to do what I saw.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think it, especially for the black community, when you don't have a father and mother in the household, it plays a serious role when you get in a relationship, because what do you have to mimic? If you watch TV, the role of a black woman and a black man is never a good thing. It's always an argument. So it's a lot of trial and error, and a lot of times we just don't never get it right.
We are back again with the Tip Talk Show. Listen, if my eyes get low, blame it on Coco. Because it's going down right now. So listen, y'all heard communication, the communication segment, getting to the island. I mean, great feedback. I appreciate y'all giving your heart into this conversation. But now I want to talk about something. Is your relationship, or will your next relationship be a job or a career? And before we get into that, you gotta know the difference. Because you can get paid from both, but one holds more value than the other. Because we know a job, you get up and you're like, shit, I don't feel like doing. I don't feel like dealing with it. But a career, I can do that even if I didn't get paid that day, because it feels good. The work is rewarding, all right? So let's talk about that. Have you ever analyzed what is your relationship? And I hope nobody don't get into it after this, because it's a conversation that needs to be had with yourself. What does this feel like? Am I working? Because we don't need to.
Nobody, listen, okay, I've been married about 2.2 seconds. However, in those 2.2 seconds, I can say, hearing from my friends and family members that have been married, marriage really is work. You know what I mean? But you can be at work and still enjoy what you do. Right? Okay? So, I want to hear your thoughts on the differences between being at work in the relationship or enjoying the career of your relationship. T, you like you got something to say.
Personally, I don't think that
Top
marriage.
count.
Personally, I don't think that marriage is work. I think it's something that you gotta want to be in, and when you got yourself right with God, you strive to love your wife as Christ loves the church. And when you do that, it's an honor to be able to love the person that you're with.
An honor. An honor. You know, if I didn't know this cat, I'd be like, man, cut the shit. If I didn't know him, I'd say that. But because I know him personally, I can actually say that he means every fiber of the words that he's saying. But, you know, to be honest with you, I ain't gonna lie. You gotta be committed to the work. Even in the career, you have to be committed to the work. And the reason why I feel like that was a good, a good segue to go in when you're talking about relationships, it's because not considering the position that the other person is in. When I say the other person, I mean the person that you're with. We give signs way too often of our drowning. I'm trying to survive here and you're not listening. You are standing in the water. You're standing up. Hear me. You're standing up in the water and you're watching me drown with a lifesaver in your hand. You got a life jacket in your hand. You could throw it to me and you standing up, which means you're safe. You're secure. You're good. But me, I'm drowning and you watching me. I just feel like,
what if it don't look like you're drowning to me?
Okay.
What if what you're giving off just looks like you dog paddling?
What does it have to look like if I'm...
I gotta know that I have to know that I need to save you.
What if I say help?
Y'all don't normally say that though.
Yeah.
Normally the water that we standing in is the water that you created.
Oh shoot, man, she gonna start some shit. She's start some shit.
Actually, I will say when you're a strong woman, usually people don't know that you need help. And we aren't always easy to say that we need help. And because you've always been strong and been there for other people, people don't always recognize that you need help also. And so you're right in that if you don't communicate that you need help, how are they supposed to know?
Gosh, sometimes I don't know how to say you help.
Yeah.
That's right.
But how's that strength when your skills with communication is not there? That's weakness.
But it goes back
You should stay strong and being open about how you feel about things. That is
Having an
strength.
area of weakness does not make you weak.
A weakness.
And a lot of times we get caught up in situations and we're busy and we're not paying attention because we're trying to make sure everything is okay. And we get in the deep, and it's like, have you ever been in deep water where it kind of just drop off on you? Yeah. You thinking you feeling that sand and you good, but all of a sudden it just drop off on you. You don't
You haven't
know.
been addressing your feelings.
That's because that underground is not always level.
But also, you can be in deep water, and I have the ability to swim, but why do I have to work that hard to
When
swim?
you have
And I have my help me.
Because you haven't been paying attention to your feelings. There's the weakness right there.
No, I'm not saying if you're not paying attention to your feelings. You can acknowledge your feelings.
Okay.
But I'm saying, even if I know, okay, I can swim, I'm here, I'm good. But I shouldn't have to work this hard when I have a helper.
I agree.
You know, and especially if the roles were reversed, I'd be right there helping me.
Come on.
We gotta take care of the kids, we gotta take care of the household, we gotta work, we gotta do so much.
Full time.
So nobody's really taking care of us.
Right.
And that's what it goes down to in a lot of these relationships.
Yeah. And
that's where we see it.
And even
That's when we get a deep.
and listen, let's just be honest. There are we, and I'm being fair when I say we, not women, but people, even when you do vocalize and verbalize your help, it still can be ignored. So we don't, let's hang on.
Not necessarily.
Why not?
Not necessarily.
What you finna say? No. What you gonna say? You finna say, well, why stay there or something?
Yeah, I'm not
No.
gonna be in there.
And that's not fair. And let me say why that's, let me say it.
The person doesn't know how to help you.
Exactly.
That's why we're in this relationship. The way you're
Because if you're gonna be in that
Nope, listen.
part where you wanna just jump ship every time it gets hard, I don't wanna be in that kind of relationship.
Look, here's my thing. Before I get in a relationship, I'm gonna do some check and balances. I'm not concerned about how your hips are and booty and all that. I'm concerned about where you at mentally
And guess
and
what?
emotionally.
That is
So
great.
that's why I don't have those issues.
That's great for
If we
you.
ain't bound,
But
we gonna
listen,
communicate.
but that's
We
not the
gonna bridge that
reality.
gap.
But listen, that's not everybody's reality.
And I'm telling you why it's not the reality.
But that doesn't, but everyone doesn't have that,
Maturity.
not maturity.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not maturity.
Okay.
But listen, so that everything comes across clearly. Listen, so that everything comes across clearly, guys. This is not a situation when we talk about building on something where, okay, you weren't strong enough, so you didn't make the cut. We're talking about in a relationship where I'm weak. Through you, then I'm made stronger. Not, well, then you too weak, so I'm fixing the jet. No, that means you weren't in it for the right reason. You have to be committed to the work. So when the work gets hard, let's get out of breath together. That's what I'm saying. Let's get out of breath together. I don't want to be the one fighting for my breath and you over there breathing easy. Let's both say we were in the ring together. So it's now I can look at a lot of situations now that I'm stronger because I haven't always been this strong. But I can look at a lot of situations and say, God, dog, you know what? I wish she would cut that situation off because that's what's best for her. That's the best advice for her. But I've been there when it wasn't easy to do that. And that's just the real reality. It's not that easy for everybody, especially when what you're feeling feels good. Especially when there's comfort in what you're feeling right then. But there is there is exhaustion that takes place when you're tired of saying help.
How many signs are you supposed to see before you just walk away?
You know what? We all know. We all know. Let me tell you, and guys, y'all know that we have women, we got a gift. We do. We have a gift, and again, we relinquish that gift because of love. Right. Because of nurturing.
I think if you said on the help last, you should know your mate well enough to, if your mate say help, you should know that help is a genuine, I need help. I need help. If you know that person, you should be able to distinguish a help and can you just help me?
What you're saying is correct. I had someone told me this a long time ago when we talked about needing help. Someone told me a long time ago, a man or a woman should never really just have to ask a man for anything. Because if he truly knows his woman, he knows when it's a problem.
Right.
That's true.
I agree with that.
That's true. I look at my wife.
And then
like, maybe there's something wrong.
and then also
Or maybe there's something wrong.
Abilities or something. I'm like, are you reading my mind or something? He said, no, I just pay attention to you.
And Tiff.
That's right.
And I know when you're shifting. And I'm like, I'm good. He said, no, you ain't good.
Yeah.
I said, well, I am. He said, no, let's talk about it.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spill the beans, but I'm like, how do you know when I'm in a moment?
And then walking away, just to address some of the issues that you were saying, walking away, and it's just my opinion. I'ma exhaust everything.
Right.
Everything.
That's right.
Everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything before I walk away from my
no
wife.
rock unturned. That way when you walk away.
Now if it's a girlfriend, but my wife, I mean, I'm going to do any and everything.
Right.
And she should get it.
Right.
She should get it. And 9 times out of 10, if you really love each other, she not going or he not going to let you walk away. And that's just it.
Actually, I can address something that Linda said earlier about women, you know, like we feel like, oh, we're not going to put up with it and we leave. And I think that's true for some women. I know that's definitely true for me. But there are a lot of women who put up with a lot of stuff. And I actually was telling someone, I think it was either today or yesterday, that somewhere the standard has gotten so low that now the goal is to be a baby mama and to be a forever fiance and all that, you know, they like pacify you with a ring only to never marry you, you know, and you're all excited and, you know, you want to show off and all that kind of stuff. But you ain't got nothing. When he dies the day tomorrow, you can't get nothing. His family coming in, they making decisions. You have no right as a wife because that's not what you are.
I'm pretty sure I can speak for the men, and then I'm done. I'm pretty sure I can speak for most men. I'm done. But when you say marriage, a man, you have to do certain things. Not have to. It's just some things that you do, and a man just know it. That's it.
Nice, you starting shit.
That's it. He'll know. That's it.
First time and know that's white man. I looked at her and I told her that.
No, I do believe that. I ain't gonna lie.
Now I ain't saying I got to get to know you, but I ain't gonna just be like that's my wife right there.
The reason why I do believe there's truth to seeing. Sugar B, listen. I believe there's truth to saying when you know. Yeah. I do believe that there is something about when you know, especially if you done cast your rod out there and got jammed so many times, and it's like you realize that's the fish I was waiting on.
But sometimes when you cast your real life so many times, that's why y'all get bad fish. Because you cast it out so many times, when you finally do get that fish, you convince yourself that that's my fish. You the regular fish.
You done caught a piranha.
I don't even eat fish.
And guess what? We throw them back. We ain't tripping.
Throw all piranhas back. Listen, stay right there. We're coming up with the next subject. I love this group.
3. Okay, so I think that one of the things that I got out of today was the topic we talked about forgiveness. And one of the things that people need to realize is that when you say you forgive someone and you really haven't, you can akin that to being a prison guard. You cannot say that someone is released and you're steady holding them in the prison. You got to take into account every time you hold someone in prison for a certain amount of time a day, you're in prison with them. So I think we kind of lose sight of the fact that we say we forgive someone by words, but our actions say something totally different when we continue to bring it up.
Right. I too can chime in on that. I think heart to heart really was truly a heart to heart to bring everything to the forefront. And with forgiveness, like my fiance just said, when that person has openly apologized or openly have admitted their fault, you shouldn't be the one that has the hammer waiting to hit them with the first strike or I told you so. As soon as you saw your mate, your husband, your wife, humble enough to say, please ask their forgiveness or whatever, that's your cue to say, okay, that's where your processing of healing should start, forgiving should start. And it's like a cancer if you don't. I mean, how far can you go in the relationship if you haven't forgiven? So, and who wants to start over again the same way that you ended the last relationship? Because that could be the very reason why that last relationship was destroyed, because you have a forgiving problem. So it's bad for your health. And
hi,
I'm Linda Bocanita, future Miss Gibson, and this is my baby, Mike. We've been together for a year, and today we're talking about communication. So, I think the biggest lesson has been over the last year is pick the battles. I feel like some things I know that he's just not gonna bend on, so I'm just gonna be like, okay, and go with it. Other things, I gotta stand my ground and be like, no, we gotta like find a common ground for them. But I don't know, what do you think?
I feel like communication is key. You know, if you're feeling a certain way about something, you have to express that and let it be known. Because if not, then you become resentful, and you never want to be resentful in a relationship, so you can't, you know, you want to communicate all things at all times. No matter if it can be something that I know, you know, like if I say this to her, then we're gonna have a problem. But I mean, hey man, say it, man, like if I don't say it, I'm gonna have a problem with myself. So you gotta get it out on the table, and you gotta go ahead and communicate, and then whatever come with it, and if y'all really meant to be, y'all, you know, but you can't not say something because you're worried about what your better half response is going to be.
We are back again. I'm telling you, it's going down. We helping people today. Are we helping people? They playing around. I'm helping myself. I'm helping me. You know, I'm getting help. So I passed out these little notes right here. It says you plus me equals. And the reason why I passed this out is because what you see me or what you see us to be may not be what I see us to be. But that's cool. That's cool. As long as what we both see each other as is on the same page, okay? I don't want to be fire and you be gasoline. That's not what's up.
But if we say it like that, let's talk about it.
We gotta talk about that. Listen, we've already established that. Listen, if you ain't talking, then y'all probably walking. It's time to run. It's time to run. Okay? But we need to, there needs to be balance. Okay? There needs to be balance. So
our next topic is so we're gonna do forgiveness. I think that one of the most underrated issues that happen in a relationship is when we don't really forgive.
Mm-hmm.
So we say it, but then in reality, we do not. And so I'm going to use myself as an example of my experience in my relationship. We were together for 10 years and recently divorced. And once we got down to it, one of the things was my ex-wife never forgave me for an incident that happened 6 months into our relationship. So I never knew until we were divorcing that little things that I wanted and big things that I wanted was all based on the fact that she never forgave me. So I wanted children. She convinced me that she didn't want to have children until she won the lottery. In reality, it was because she never forgave me, right? So when me and her were talking, I use analogies all the time. And so what I told her, I was like, you know, our relationship was really like a hamster wheel. Like if you ever look at a hamster on the wheel, the only person that really think he's going somewhere is the hamster. He will get off the wheel, go drink some water, like he really did like go relax, like I'm tired, bro. You know, and that's what I did in this relationship. I thought that she forgave me. So I spent 9 years of my life on a hamster wheel trying to make up for something that I thought I was gaining traction on. When in reality, I was the only one running. I'm not doing anything.
She's watching me get tired.
She's watching me get tired, only for me to drink some water, come back and say, okay, I did it. You wanted Tiffany's, I got it. And it's like, yeah, but that ain't the one. That wasn't the one I wanted. And because I never asked her, I never came back, which is the communication piece. I just did. And we find ourselves a lot of times in forgiving mode when we've done something wrong. You just start doing. You don't ask questions. You don't make sure. You just start acting and acting out as, I'm gonna make it better. And making it better is finding out what really is better for her. Because me buying her things did not make my 10-year relationship last. Me making sure that she had the car that she wanted, she blames me now after the divorce that she has a car now. I took it from this, I mean, I did a lot to make up. And in reality, 9 years of my life, nothing was moving. Because I never touched bases with her to say, you know what? You really have a problem with that, and let's talk about it. Let's fix it. You don't really forgive me, but then when I ask, it's like, oh no, I forget. It's good. It's good. It's good is amazing. If she say it's good, it's not. Just start from right there. Whenever they tell you, I'm just telling you as a Jedi, because I can tap into my male and female side. My bros, listen. When they say, oh, it's good, it's okay. I'm okay.
Well, let me say,
they're not okay.
I want to, you know what? Tag me in. All right. So I will say this when it comes to forgiveness. I believe that forgiveness, a lot of what forgiveness is and what it represents is contingent upon the follow-up after the action.
All right.
Whatever caused me to resent you, I feel it back. Whatever caused me to resent you, your follow-up after that is what's going to give me comfort. It's what's going to give me some peace about it. But if there is an incident,
you got to be real.
A song, a scent, a something that reminds me of the action, there it will arise again. So it shouldn't be that the person is given a life sentence for their action, but they should understand the extent of the pain that was caused from their action, to not overwork themselves trying to make somebody forgive them, but to be careful.
No, hold on.
To be conscious is what I think I want to say.
But your follow-up,
the margarita could be telling me different.
No, wait, tell me. Your follow-up, what you want me to follow up with has to be realistic.
Okay, I agree with that.
So you can, if every time the song come on, I tense up.
Look, you shaking your head over that for.
I'm confused and nervous, don't know how we gonna ride home because of the song. I asked you for forgiveness and you agreed.
Yeah.
You told me that you would. You told me that you were going to forgive me, right? It's not my responsibility after that to make sure that you do, because you had a right to say no.
Yep.
So whatever prison sentence that I'm in, after you tell me that there's going to be forgiveness, you placed me in this cell.
Yeah, because you should just walk away.
You could have said no.
Well, okay, talk to me. Hang on, guys.
It's actually both. You have to be willing to be able to forgive. But also, it is a follow-up behind that, because your actions also have to change as well. Because if you constantly, no matter, like if you've done something that hurt someone, let's be real, you'll never forget that.
Right.
You'll never forget that. So if your actions constantly remind that individual of that, then that's going to come back up. But so things have to change with you yourself and whatever you're doing that possibly caused that situation. And then also you changing that person also has to accept the fact that it happened and be willing to move on.
Right.
So it's both.
It is both.
It's both.
So you can't tell me that you're gonna forgive me, and I'm working it out, and I'm trying to change, and you're not accepting the change. Now you can't keep changing the rules on the change.
No.
And y'all know that. Y'all move to finish line.
If I agree to forgive you or you agree to forgive me, you can't get mad because like how the analogy you use about a song come on the radio, if they get me in my feelings, feel some kind of way. You can't say, you tripping. You said you don't forgive me. Nah, this makes me think of that. So me being a person, being human, like don't give me your feelings and get to tripping with me. Like I'm acting funny now. This just make me think of the things you did. You know what I'm saying?
Stacey. So every time that song come on, you pop that Stacey.
No, this is
Yeah, it does not necessarily have to be a song, but I have to be completely honest with you. You know, actions, that's the loudest voice that you will ever hear is how a person counters the situation. And if I suspect something, okay, and your action to my suspect, that
don't look my way and say that.
No, I'm just saying. We say, man, I haven't done anything, or I didn't do anything. It's like, if you're an observant person like myself, you're paying attention. And we all know that you can build a solid foundation for 5 years, and one moment can tank that mug, just like that. And now all of a sudden, you want me to forgive you right now. Like, no. I said I'm sorry, that should be it. It's not that simple.
Well, that's not being realistic.
But then it's not being realistic. You can't hold
That's the whole point of being realistic on both ends. If you're gonna forgive, this is my foot.
Hard ways.
This is what you need to do in order to so I can forgive you. Then, if that's realistic, both sides have to be realistic about that.
Right.
Yeah. That just makes sense.
That's why I say don't give nobody. And one of my best friends always say this: you can't give nobody a life sentence for something that you told them you forgave them on. If somebody changes their action, I'm a strong advocate of acknowledge their actions. Acknowledge the work.
And make sure that you're checking me on things that I've done.
Right.
One of the other things is something that I've done may have reminded you of someone else who you were with, and now my sentence is their sentence, and all of us mixed together. You have to be honest with you, and we got to start holding ourselves accountable. It's not just relationship checks and balances. There have to be personal checks and balances with you to say, I have to separate these two people.
Right.
Yes, my experience with her will determine how I act here, but you're not her.
Right.
So I can't hold you to whatever she or he may have done, and we do that a lot. We end up, we give them their sentence. Don't give me, I didn't do that.
I didn't do that, yeah.
All luggage on the same trip.
Yeah. But I don't know, you can take the same luggage, but take different clothes.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But here, okay, so I want to do this real quick. I had you guys do the you plus me, and I need a couple of couples to volunteer their you plus me.
Is it only good stuff, or are we keeping it real?
Real.
No, yes. Listen, if there's
gotta go home though.
No, we're definitely keeping it real. So can I get a volunteer first on the woman's side to give us their you plus me equals, and then we're gonna go to your counterpart.
Since my counterpart is so old right
Oh, I know that's right. Come on, T.
Yeah, you plus me. So you plus me equals courage. Because with him, he gives me the courage that I can do any freaking thing.
And I'm all right.
Because I know he got my back. And with that courage comes strength. But
with this man,
I am unstoppable.
There is a song. Yes.
So that makes us start applauding. Y'all got
No, seriously, because that's not everybody's story. I want to hear what your equals plus.
Well, mine is a partnership. You know what I mean? For me as a man, I want my woman to have that same relationship I have with my homeboy. That's my partner. We can go through anything. And that's what it is. It's a partnership.
I love it.
I got her back, she got my back. You flex on her, I'm gonna flex on you.
Okay, so I need another volunteer for the men.
That boy got about 10 brownie points on that one, boy.
I need a man to give me their you plus me, and then we'll go to somebody else. Anybody want to volunteer? Listen, ain't no, come on, okay? Hold on, baby. me, hold on, I'm gonna go to MK real quick. And I can
My U plus me is foreverness. This right here, she totally changed my world. I've been through some things, I've been to the surface and seen the clouds.
You better say that.
I know that's right. But don't that feel good to finally meet somebody that gets you? But I think it also matters that they know that you make me feel good. As opposed to, I mean, you ought to know that. No, I need to hear that. I need to hear that I make you feel good. Sucker. Come on, Sister Kena.
Well, I wrote you plus me equals commitment, love, happiness, and friendship forever.
All right, look at that.
Look at that. That's the foreverness right there.
Join at the hips.
Join at the hips. Committed to doing the work, period. I'm concerned about you, you concerned about me. What's important to you automatically is important to me.
And now what Daniel said?
Oh, yeah. Back to you, Ms. Ogunjebe.
Oh, okay. So, for me, I see love, marriage, relationship as an employer. So you plus me, we employ you. So love employ me and you to work for you.
You better work, baby.
Hey, I ain't never heard that one. I ain't never heard that one. Oh my. Man. Oh man. That boy got 401 benefits. Come on.
To the world.
Man, I like that.
And let me tell you,
We got 401k, we got insurance, we got
everything. We got everything.
So,
and I remember.
I said, everything around us, friends, family, everybody, this yours. Oh, we love y'all, we want to be like y'all. This yours is perfect. So I'm gonna tell everybody right now, friends, family, you see us as perfect, we're not perfect. But I plus Tiffany Ogunjebe. So we're not perfect as you see us as we're perfect. We just the best love worker.
Love workers. Oh man. Love workers.
I'm telling you, I know I certainly enjoyed myself today. I have enjoyed myself.
I have enjoyed myself also.
And I hope that that has been the feeling of our guests on today. Grand Marnier Hennessy, Jose Cuervo, 1800. All of our guests here today have enjoyed themselves. And it has been an amazing show. This was to help and not hurt anybody.
Part one.
And you gotta listen to apply. That is my nugget for today. Listen to apply. What is your nugget?
My nugget for today would be, if it's broke, don't fix it, love it. Learn to love it.
Love the brokenness.
Well, no, don't give it. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said, so we all talk about the fact that we may meet women who are broke, but if she's broke, don't try to fix her, love her.
Ooh. All right.
That's my nugget.
He gonna love your broke ass. All right. That's it for the Tip Talk Show. See y'all next time right here with Tip and Sugar B.
On the ones and twos.
On the ones and twos. We love you. We'll see you in the confession room.
When you say that you forgive someone and you do it from the heart, then that subject is not held against you. However long or whatever reflects it or makes it come back up again. What you think?
Then you should still, so with forgiveness, I think it's important, like it was said, not to give life sentences. I think we have to be honest about whether or not we're actually forgiving people. And we have to, like you said, not dwell on it just because a memory pops up that brings back the hurt that we experienced, the betrayal or whatever that caused us to even be in a position that requires forgiveness. And so I think that particular segment definitely stood out because there are a lot of people with unresolved hurt, unresolved anger, unresolved forgiveness. And so it's important to your relationship to forgive and move on, and also to allow people time to be able to accept your forgiveness. You know,
The takeaway for me was the aspect of forgiveness, because it's hard when you've been showed what a man is, when you've been given an example of what a man is, and you look at your elders, your grandfathers, your uncles, your big brothers, your cousins, and those were the examples that you were showed. And then when a man doesn't meet up to those expectations, that he's not a man. I had to learn that the word man is very skewed. It's more than just being an adult male. And some representation of a man is different from what you were taught. So I had to learn to forgive myself, and I'm grateful for that subject matter because it let me know that I was on the right path. Because when I go forward, it's imperative for me to go in with clean self and not have expectations.